It's been many months since your adventures with Sir Tristan and serving the king. In the intervening time, so now we're going to play through the Dungeons and Dragons. Feedback. Forgot to mute my laptop. So in your adventures, though, you've now traveled several hundred miles away from the kingdom where you last adventured. You've come into a foreign land that you're unfamiliar with, and over the past few weeks, the weather has kind of turned to the worst. It's mainly been stormy with thunder and lightning, but the weather has also been a little, perhaps unseasonably warm, and over the last week or so, fog has been creeping in and growing ever denser. You find yourselves now on a rainy, wet night, traveling in a small village, and you've come across the tavern in which you decided to seek refuge from the storm. I'll zoom in. Oh no.
What just happened?
I bumped the camera.
Am I still on screen?
I don't know. Let me check. Yeah, you guys are on screen.
Because I can see it now. Because when I was over there, I only saw like a tiny bit.
To a party of seasoned adventurers such as yourselves, what you see is but another dull tavern in another dull town in some nameless province. It is but another span of time between the challenges of true adventuring. Outside the tavern, a fog lies over the town this evening. The damp, cobbled pavement glistens as the lights of street lanterns dance across the slick stones. The fog chills the bones and shivers the soul of anyone outside. Yet inside these tavern walls, the food is hearty, and the ale is warm and frothy. A fire blazes in the hearth, and the tavern is alive with the tumbling voices of country folk. Is there anything you all would like to do? You're seated around a table. It's a slightly shabby table, but currently you can see that there are 3 people in the bar, all seated at the bar itself, and the bartender is bringing them different plates of food and some drinks. You have plenty of food in front of you, each having ordered a hearty meal.
Is there pizza?
There can be pizza.
Can there be Krabby Patties?
You can eat a Krabby Patty if you'd like.
And can there be milk?
Okay, you can have milk with your Krabby Patty.
I always know this often because I was wanting to get milk.
So do you have any questions? Do you want to ask each other anything?
I'm just gonna eat my pizza. I'm gonna eat my lasagna. Got like a 5-course meal.
Are you gonna go talk to those people over there? He's like, why don't walk over to the middle of the bar?
That's a
Yeah,
fire.
well, I'll act casual about it because I don't feel like you would go up in a bar and just ask somebody, yo, what are you doing here?
That's precisely what people do at bars.
Either this or no one.
Mhm.
I'm 13. 13.
And you're going to jail because you got your thing
Just because of the music, it makes me feel like something bad's
It
gonna
was
happen.
the shadiest looking person
and I feel
here.
like I'm gonna
Suddenly, the tavern door swings open and a hush falls over the room. Framed by the lamp-lit fog, a form strides into the tavern. His heavy-booted footfalls and the jingle of his coins shatter the silence. His brightly colored clothes are draped in loose folds about him, and his hat hangs askew, hiding his eyes in shadow. Without hesitation, he walks up to your table and stands proudly in a wide stance, with folded arms. You notice that he has 2 more companions that come into the bar tavern as well. They eye him, and then they take a seat at the table across from yours. In an accented voice, he says, "I have been sent to you to deliver this message. If you be creatures of honor, you will come to my master's aid at first light. It is not advisable to travel the Slavic roads at night." He pulls from his tunic a sealed letter, addressed to all of you in a beautiful flowing script. He drops the letter on the table. "Take the west road. From here, some 5 hours march down through Svach woods. There you will find my master in Barovia." Amid the silent stares of the patronage, the gypsy strides to the bar and says to the wary barkeep, "Fill the glasses, one and all. Their throats are obviously parched." He drops a purse heavy with gold on the bar, and with that, he leaves.
Papa, can I detect good and evil here?
If you'd like to, yeah.
Because it's up to 60 feet. Which one of that get everybody?
Okay, well, so what we'll do is we come over to your character. You have some abilities, detect good and evil.
What?
Detect good and evil. For the duration, you know if there is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as well as where the creature is located. Similarly, you know if there is a place or object within 30 feet of you that has been magically consecrated or desecrated. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but it is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
So it wouldn't really do anything?
It could if there's any of those kinds of creatures nearby.
Well, then I'll use it. Do I need to flip it over after I use it?
No, not right now. But we can mark that you've used that ability.
So do you guys want to do the task?
What?
Do you want to do the task? Accept the challenge?
Well, yeah, yes, but I want to see what those 2 people over there are doing. Well, I'm gonna detect.
Because do we know how to get to this place tomorrow morning?
You just said how to.
I'm still
Yeah,
eating
I
my
wasn't paying
Krabby
attention.
Patty and milk.
You said take the western road 5 hours until you get to Barovia.
I'm glad Ethan was paying attention.
I don't think anyone else was.
I was like focused on the music.
The music is kind of exciting, and it's making me feel like someone's.
Oh, give me the dark crystal.
That does look like the dark crystal.
Yeah, I saw it. I am the Skexy.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I am the Skexy.
I kind of want to go over to those 2 people and understand them.
Well,
The people who came in with that attitude?
Wait, Papa, did I
Message?
use to
Okay.
check? Wait, Papa.
Uh-huh.
Like, what do those 2 people look like?
So they have a bit of a dark complexion. Their clothes are very bright and vibrant and kind of mismatched.
80s.
They're wearing really extravagant clothing. They have like handkerchiefs tied around their heads. Their clothing is all kinds of different colors, almost like a rainbow of colors.
Well, can I go over to them?
Also
and-
gypsies.
Yeah, they look exactly like gypsies.
What are gypsies?
So you have gypsy blood.
Oh, how do you even know what it? Oh, why would you say that if you don't even know what it is?
Scary like witches and mummies. What are gypsies?
No. Live in
We tower got
They're from like
knocked
Romania and
down.
Hungary, where our family is from.
So you do have, you've got these two gypsies that are sitting at the table across from you, and then you have the sealed letter that that this stranger left on the table.
Yeah, let's read that.
You want to read it?
Let's see. This is fancy.
Do it in
I can't
your
read
dog
cursive.
tongue.
So I can increase the size of the letter and everything.
Okay, who can read cursive?
I can only read some cursive.
Okay,
A little bit.
Okay, do you want me to read it?
No, I'll try to read
Okay,
it.
Ethan's gonna try to read it.
Hail to thee of might and
Valor.
valor. I, a lowly servant of Barovia, lend honor to thee. We plead for thy do desperately need
Read it. Assistance.
assistance. The love of my life,
Arena
Juliana,
Kuliana.
has been afflicted by an evil too deadly that even the good people of our village cannot protect her. She anguishes from her wound, and I would have her saved from this menace. There is much wealth in this community. I offer all that might be had to thee and to thy fellows, if thou shalt but answer my desperate plea. Come quickly, for her time is at hand. Off that I
All
have,
that I have shall be thine.
all that I have.
What's his name?
Julian
Benderovich. Burgomaster.
Burgomaster.
What Burgomaster?
Burgomaster.
My boo and faster.
Like an as seen on TV. Something Burger Master today.
So he wants us to save.
It'll find my boo.
So there is the strict version of that as well.
Oh, seriously?
Yep.
Papa was just throwing and I just told you.
Okay, so what is it that you all would like to do?
Go outside and fill the rain. What?
Okay. I definitely am not going outside to the rain. We want to get all our stuff together.
No, it's just like a
Leaving in the
rocket
morning.
set.
And you couldn't get it up in the morning.
No, let's wait till the morning to go because
Okay, so,
are the people in the
well,
bar doing anything suspicious at all?
Hold on though, Alex. Do you want your character to go outside into the rain?
Yeah.
You're gonna get
you get sick before your journey.
You're gonna get a cold and you just stay behind.
Yeah, but my milk's outside. I don't know what's going to go rough.
Wait, what?
Hey, there's some dude outside.
Yeah, when you walk outside, you can still see that stranger. He's just walking away at the moment. So other than that, you see that the rain is coming down, and somehow at the same time, although it's raining, it's also really quite foggy here too, which is odd because you've never seen the weather do that before. But the fog is extremely thick now. In fact, you can only see a slight distance away from the tavern before the fog becomes so thick that you're afraid you couldn't even see your hand in front of your own face.
Is fog cloud a what is that? Is it a cantrip?
Yeah, but now I can see my hand pop
Fog cloud is a magical spell.
Yeah, but is it a cantrip or like?
What? Well, so one of the things that we can do here is anytime you have a question about stuff like that, I can actually type it in.
Magic hand like your friend.
We can click on Fog Cloud, and we see that Fog Cloud is a first level spell.
Can I hold it? Can you close the screen? Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I cast the fog cloud? Let's see. So right where we see where the bartender is standing.
Yeah, back
see
here.
right below the bar stool. Right below that one.
So Fog Cloud if you look at it, you create a 20-foot radius sphere of fog centered on a point within range. The sphere spreads around corners and area is heavily obscured. It lasts for the duration or until a wind of moderate or greater speed.
Why are you creating a cloud of fog when it's already foggy?
No, in the bar.
What?
Can I use the restroom? Because I
Yes.
want to see how they react to it.
I think you should just maybe talk to him.
No, Mom, if the people like react badly to the fog cloud, then it shows that they're suspicious.
Well, I think you creating a fog cloud would be suspicious.
Wait,
Yeah, you're hanging out in a tavern,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
they're
all
just
of a sudden,
relaxing.
like fog, like blooms inside of a
I feel
tavern.
like then they're gonna be threatened by you, regardless of whether they're nice or bad.
once the fog cloud, is it like do I have to speak out loud to it? Is it incognito?
So
Noticeable?
this spell components are verbal and somatic, meaning you do have to speak magic and make motions.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay.
You shouldn't do that. People will get suspicious.
Yeah, I think we should ask people maybe for information about this
Alex is
lord,
outside
this
being
guy who's
weird.
asking us to do
Yeah.
this challenge,
And then the hand just goes.
and what they know about that dude who kidnapped her. Right?
Wait, did somebody kidnap her?
I think so. I don't know.
If you want to read the letter again, I can bring it back up.
The vein pattern is making me tired because it sounds like a sound machine.
Okay, I kind of want to come back inside. I'm already really tired.
Okay, she's been afflicted by an evil so deadly.
Oh, let's see, I'll have to zoom that out. So there you go.
I think it's a curse.
I mean, so this poor guy is asking us to help his love.
No,
who's
rich
gonna-
guy.
I lowly servant of Barovia.
Yeah, but that sounds like the guy's being humble. Lowly servant of Barovia.
But he's saying there's much wealth in this community. I mean,
yeah, and
he's kind of saying
Barovia,
like
no,
people will pay.
Barovia
my
is
debt.
a rich lord. Lowly servant probably means that he's just being humble and that he actually gets paid very well. And
Okay, well, like I said, I think we should ask the people in the bar about Colin Inderovich Burgomaster. What's his name?
Paula, did the guy who walked in the bar, did he kind of look like like Dr. Frankenstein's servant?
Jojo, shh. Trying to listen to your brother.
You know, like
He's actually paying attention to the game right now.
You know, like Dr. Frankenstein's servant, how he has all like the hunchback and stuff. Did he kind of look like that?
No. This guy stood up pretty straight. He looked to be in pretty healthy condition. He was just wearing like lots and lots of vibrant and flowing clothing.
He's a good-looking gypsy fellow.
And so right now only a few seconds have passed. Like he just walked outside. Bob the Wizard followed him outside. It's only been a few seconds.
Yeah, let's ask the bartender what he knows about Burgomaster.
Yes.
Okay, bartenders know a lot of information. They know all the secrets.
So you all like wave the bartender over.
Yeah.
Okay. So while the bartender's making his way across the room, Alexander, is there anything you would like Bob to do? He's standing outside. It's really foggy. The rain's coming down. You see that stranger that talked to you is walking and getting like now closer into the fog and becoming harder to see. Did you want to interact with him, or do you want to go back into the bar?
I kind of want to talk to him.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't. I should have thought what I was gonna say first.
Whistle. Can you whistle?
All right, you whistle out, and the stranger stops and turns to look at you. Is there something I can help you with, friend?
I don't know. What did I say?
Ask him.
Hold on, he's outside alone. What would you like Bob to say? And you don't have to use like the specific things. You can just kind of say something you would like him to ask, like you want to find out about his past or whatever, or you can say like, "Hey, Mister, what's your name?" You can ask him whatever you want.
What's your name?
My name is Erigal. I am Vistani. What is your name, friend?
Bob the Wizard.
Ah, Bob the Wizard. It is a pleasure to meet you, Bob. How may I be of assistance to you?
How old are you?
That can be hard to tell sometimes. I think I am somewhere in my 40th year.
You're not rude to ask. I don't want to do.
Just compliment him, Alex. Say, like, you don't look a day over 20.
Goodbye.
No?
Well, all right, friends.
Goodbye.
You have a good day. Perhaps we shall meet again soon.
Yes.
And he begins to walk off again and into the fog. And you see him disappear into the fog.
No.
Okay. You need to learn more about this evil affliction.
All right.
Let's come over Irina or Vivina or Vivana or whatever her name is.
Papa.
Bob the Wizard walks back into the tavern right at about the same time that the barkeep arrives at your table. Bob seats himself back at the table while the barkeep walks up.
I asked for more milk.
All right. One milk coming right up. Warm or chilled?
Warm.
Very well. Is there anything else any of you would like?
Well, I would like to know, who's that? What? I would like to know about Burgomaster.
Burgomaster. The name's not familiar to me, but burgomasters, they oversee small villages. Sort of like a mayor, so to speak.
Ask him if he has a name. In the letter, he had a specific name.
Oh, well, what's his name?
No. Yeah, I don't remember what the guy's name
Yeah,
is.
what was his name?
Where's the letter? Okay. It's colon Indrovich.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound right when you say it.
Arena,
His
What can you
last
tell
name.
us about colon?
and, well, we need to know about, let's see, Barovia, Irina Kuliana, and Colon.
These names aren't familiar to me at all. You do see that the other strangers that are sitting at the table, you kind of notice that they're like paying attention to you guys, but they're also like trying to make it look like they're not paying attention to you.
Can I roll perception to see if, like, this guy is, like, telling the truth?
Yes.
I got a 16, and then my perception, see, that's +3.
Okay. You definitely can tell that the barkeeper does seem to be telling the truth. He doesn't really seem to know this specific burgomaster. And also, off of your perception roll, you definitely can tell that these strangers are interested in you guys, and they're paying attention.
Okay, so I just say, well, you can go now, just get us a glass of milk.
Why don't you order drinks for those people who are paying attention to us?
Okay, yeah.
Well, and do recall that the first stranger put down a bag of coins on the counter and ordered drinks for everybody. So you guys can order freely without having to pay for the beverages.
I want some Pepsi.
Hold on, Papa, can I order some Dr. Pepper?
I thought you just had milk.
That wouldn't be good with milk on a rainy day.
Pepsi. I'll
It's just
eat
one
all
outside
of the
in the rain.
drinks ever, even Pepsi.
And fish.
So buy our new fish drink today.
Okay, so what would you guys like to do? Other than
Can
die
I-
of old age in a tavern.
Can I can I go over to the two people and just say, well, what brings you here on a fine night like this?
Okay.
Well, no, oh, yeah.
That's the barkeep. He kind of goes back of the bar, and he's drafting you guys your milks.
And Pepsi.
Okay, so you approach the table, or strawberry syrup approaches the table. The two strangers look up at you. One of them appears to be a bit of an older man. He smiles with a mouth full of kind of like jaggedy teeth, and he fills his mouth with a large drop of wine. How is it that I may help you, sir?
I just ask him what brings you here, and then I like this.
What brings me here? He sort of looks into the fire for a moment, and the flames begin to dance a little bit higher and higher. I have a story to tell. First you listen, then I answer questions. Come closer. Bring your friends much, much closer.
Can I pull out a knife and I say, if I come closer, so does this?
Well, that's up to you, friend, but if you want to hear my tale, put your blade away and open your ears.
I'm just coming in closer. You tell the tale from right there.
Don't worry, I have no wish to make an enemy of you. I just simply wish to share my tale.
What should this tale be about?
Well, bring your friends closer so I don't have to repeat myself. I'm an old man. My throat grows parched easy. He takes another sip of wine.
Okay, can't someone sense good or bad?
Yeah, that's me. I'm gonna sense this dude. If he's good or bad.
So, detect good and evil, it's a little bit like... it's not as clear as it sounds. Because in older editions of the game, you used to be able to detect what's called alignment. Is somebody good or are they evil? In 5th edition, they changed it up. I don't really like it, but it only lets you detect good or evil creatures or beings, not their alignment. You could use like sense motive and skills like that to try and figure out like if somebody's trying to trick you or what they're trying to get at.
Well, we can see if he's trying to trick us.
Yeah, can I roll? I have a really high perception, so.
Yeah, if you'd like to.
I got 17 plus 3.
Yeah, I mean, you think this guy's being pretty sincere and straightforward.
Okay, so I call them over here.
All right. Do you guys approach the table as well?
Yep.
I say we're all ears.
All right. The other Vistani is just, this one, is just sort of sitting at the table, paying attention to you guys. He's eating some bread and some stew, like from a bowl. And the other one introduces himself. Which I have to move Jojo, there we go, and strawberry syrup because the name's so long.
This game is making me hungry.
Yeah. I'm really
For
tired.
soup.
He introduces himself once everybody kind of crowds around. I am Stanimir. He takes a big drink from his cup of wine. He spits a little bit into the fire, and the flames turn from an orange to a green. As they dance and sway, a dark shape appears in the fire's core.
I don't trust this.
Just tell us a story. What's in this magic gypsy?
We come from an ancient land whose name is long forgotten. A land of kings. Our enemies forced us from our homes, and now we wander the lost roads.
The dark shape in the fire takes the form of a man being knocked from his horse, a spear piercing his side. Stanmir continues.
One night, a wounded soldier staggered into our camp and collapsed. We nursed his terrible injury and quenched his thirst with wine. He survived. When we asked him who he was, he wouldn't say. All he wanted was to return home, but we were deep in the land of his enemies. We took him as one of our own and followed him back toward his homeland. His enemies hunted him. They said he was a prince, yet we didn't give him up, even when their assassins fell upon us like wolves.
Deep in the bonfire, you see the dark figure standing with sword drawn, fighting off a host of shadowy shapes.
This man of royal blood fought to protect us, as we protected him. We bore him safely to his home and he thanked us. He said, I owe you my life. Stay as long as you wish. Leave when you choose. And know that you will always be safe here.
The figure in the dancing fire vanquishes its final foe, then disperses in a cloud of smoke and embers. Stanmir's face becomes a sober mask.
A curse has befallen our noble prince, turning him into a tyrant. We alone have the power to leave his domain. We've traveled far and wide to find heroes such as yourselves to end our dread lord's curse and put his troubled soul to rest. Our leader, Madame Eva, knows all. Will you return to Barovia with us and speak with her?
So this is a different task than the previous. They're not together then?
They arrived together.
I ask him first, what's your relation to the man who walked in?
We are the Stani, a joyous people who love to celebrate and drink and dance and sing.
I'm gonna be right back.
What do you mean?
Just gonna go.
Okay, what? That doesn't really answer our question.
Erigel is a friend of ours. He serves the Burgomeister.
Okay, it sounds like the same curse befell his lady that's befallen the prince. Right?
Ah, you mean
Marina?
Yeah, what happened? What's Alex doing?
I don't know where Alex.
You said he's going to the bathroom.
No, he said he was going to. Oh, of course, his walls. Yes.
yes? You speak of Arena,
Yes.
our lord, our master, the tyrant. He seeks Arena. You must protect her from him. For his heart has darkened, and he is a true tyrant. He seeks to control her.
Oh my god, that scared me.
Okay. So in order to save her, we have to take the curse off that dude. Okay. Are we gonna go with them? Are we gonna go with them to Barovia?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell them we accept the challenge. We'll be happy to help.
But first, what's our payment?
It's just like payment, not saving the world. I'm good. I'm selfish and not paying.
Such selfish.
He kind of frowns a little bit about you asking for payment and such, but says,
My people, we have treasures. I'm sure that Lady Eva Madame Eva will give you a prize, should you ask her. But when we saw you in this tavern, we thought you were people of good hearts that would help through caring and passion, not through avarice.
And what's the relationship between Lady Eva, the burgomaster, and Irina? Who's Lady Eva again?
We haven't met them.
Okay, well, what did they say here? I'm asking them what the relationship is.
Madame Eva is the leader of the Vistani. We are a proud and free people.
I thought the leader of the Vistani was the tyrant.
No. The leader of Barovia is the tyrant Strahd. Madame Eva is the leader of our free people, the Vistani.
It's a matriarchal society.
It's confusing to me.
Not me, I play Skyrim.
No, so he reigns over a specific area of land, but she reigns over the people. So regardless of where they go, she's still their queen. Because gypsies tend to be pretty nomadic, so they wander around. So they still have allegiance to her no matter where they are. They only would have allegiance to the prince when they're on his land, I would assume.
No, but they're always on his land.
Not gypsies especially, they're very nomadic.
I don't know anything about gypsies, and this is really confusing.
Okay, well, let's accept the challenge.
So, it's the worst combination.
Yep. Okay.
Very nice. I am glad that you will help us. You may find Madame Eva by following Trade Way. He points sort of out the door and in the direction to the left outside. If you follow the road for at least 5 more miles, press forward and you will see the gates of Barovia.
Press forward?
Enter there through the gates and travel on the road to Seer Pool. That is where our camp is, and we shall see you there with Madame Eva.
Is he like an olive though?
Okay. So are we going tonight, or are we waiting till the morning?
Wait till the morning.
Wait till the morning because that one guy said don't travel.
Yeah, at night.
Don't run.
Okay.
All right. The 2 gypsies kind of thank you for your time, and they finish their food and drink, and they head out into the rain and fog. All right. Is there anything else you guys would like to do?
Go to bed. There's no bed in here. There's just sleep on the campfire. No, it's a tavern.
Usually they're inns and taverns.
Yeah, it's a tavern. You guys want rooms for the night?
Wait, what? It's a tavern.
A tavern is like a restaurant that has rooms that you can stay at. It's basically like a nice hotel, but the center point tends to be the restaurant.
Yeah, like a restaurant bar.
So we went to taverns when we were at Tombstone. And then kind of down below there was like a eating area, and then upstairs there's rooms.
So you all are shown to rooms that are just on the other side of the tavern wall. You are easily able to rent 2 rooms for the night, each with its own bed. Are you curious to see that a little closer, Jojo?
I'm just looking at the rooms they look like.
The night passes pretty uneventfully, though the sounds of the storm grow louder and louder. You hear the wind billowing against the windows. You hear in the distance some trees cracking and breaking as they're uprooted from the sheer force of the winds. And then sometime during the night, the winds die out and it becomes deathly silent. There's no more sound of rain. There's no more thunder. Just pure silence.
Normally I would be scared of this if I wasn't tired.
You wake up in the morning and, let's see.
Stop dropping dice everywhere, dude.
When you wake up in the morning and you leave your rooms and enter back out into the tavern, you see that the tavern is mainly empty at this point, except for the barkeep, who is awake early this morning, cleaning the bar and also just sort of setting out some trays of freshly cooked food, like some eggs and sausages and things like that. And the barkeep brings it over to you at your table. Is there anything you all would like to do?
Eat and go.
Eat and go.
And then got milk.
Of course you want milk.
Okay.
And Alex is the cause of milk bottles.
What time is it?
Alex.
It's fairly early in the morning now, like perhaps 6 or 7 in the morning, but when you step outside of the tavern, it becomes hard to tell the time, mainly because there is a very, very dense fog out here. You can see maybe 15 or so feet before the fog becomes so thick that you can't see anything else.
Even myself?
Well, we asked the bartender about the fog. What's with the fog?
I don't know. It's been foggy like this for about a week and a half or so. Maybe about the time the Vistani came here first. The fog rolled in and it's been dense and getting denser every day since.
We should have asked how long that lady has been cursed for. Because if the fog has been in for a week and a half and that lady has been cursed.
Yeah, the fog might warp people's minds.
Yeah. Which means Alex,
He went out in the fog.
Get him!
Okay.
There have been reports of abnormally large wolves in the area and other shadowy creatures moving about in the fog, but there haven't been any reports of any attacks or anything.
Papa, the stranger is a werewolf.
Maybe. That would be interesting.
or a vampire. Vampire, werewolf.
Oh, this would be helpful in the fog because it can, like, sense.
Yeah, if there's creatures nearby.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions you want to ask of the barkeep or anything else you want to do before you head out onto the road?
Let's go. Alright, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I could just snooze
You
or
walk
sleep.
through the dense fog and out into the morning, which it's just a really weird sensation because although the fog is, like sort of lit from the morning sunrise, you can't see the sun in the sky and you still can't see too far at all. In fact, if anything, the sun kind of makes it a little harder to see because it's like glowing light coming from all directions due to the fog.
Can I detect good and evil? Because I want to sense if anything's around us.
Yes, you can cast that
Well,
spell.
that wouldn't really do anything though because we can see 15 feet around us, and that spell only does 25 feet.
60.
No.
Okay, but let Papa talk. He was like
Oh, 30.
describing things.
Yeah, you travel down the trade road for many miles. It's very difficult to tell exactly how far you've gone simply because of the fog is so dense and thick. It seems that at times the fog gets even thicker, and although you assume that the sun is rising, it doesn't get brighter throughout the day. In fact, the fog gets sort of dimmer and dimmer as you continue to travel. And it's almost like it's twilight, but it's a really odd effect. You see black pools standing of water, standing like dark mirrors in and around the muddy roadway. There's giant trees that loom on both sides of the road, branches clawing at the mist. The fog spills out of the forest to swallow up the road behind you. Ahead, jutting from the impenetrable woods on both sides of the road, are high stone buttresses, looming gray in the fog. Huge iron gates hang on the stonework. Dew clings with cold tenacity to the rusted bars. 2 headless statues of armed guardians flank the gate, their heads now lying among the weeds at their feet. They greet you only with silence.
So the statues have been beheaded? Is that what you're saying? It's like, it's a movie.
That's what you see.
Can't see.
Oh, okay.
Ah, the statues! What happened?
Okay. Is the gate open or closed?
The gate currently is slightly ajar.
Whoa, it looks like in my dreams.
How do you remember it?
As you walk closer towards the gate, they slowly
Is it a whiny
open.
dog?
No, that was the
That's a
rusty
gate.
gates
I
opening.
know. It sounds like when a dog cries.
Or maybe it's a cat meowing.
I always think of a dog whining when I open up a
Keep going.
creepy
Keep going, people. Keep going.
You shook the table a lot.
Come on, Rosie. Okay, we're going.
Whoa. Looks like something that would be in like an old Nintendo game.
Yeah, like Zelda.
In a previous episode, we played Zelda in D&D.
Oh, you're making me yawn. Oh, goodness. Do you want to stop our adventure for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can stop there. You have entered through the gates of Barovia. The gates close behind you after you pass through the gates. They screech as they close, and you hear a loud clank as the gates lock into place.
Can't you just climb like this? I'm out. No.
And with that, having entered the gates of Barovia, we will end our adventure for the evening.
But I know what I can do.